Hey guys, welcome to the shop, and ladies, potentially. Maybe there's one out there watching. If you are a lady and watching, you're very special. Thanks for watching. Let's get started on this repair. It's part 2 of our Hardness 4-jaw chuck that we got that was damaged and absolutely garbage unless I can get it fixed. And I think that I can, but today's going to be part 2 of this repair video, and I believe it's going to be the hardest part to repair. So let me share with you my work plan to get this thing done, and then we will see if this plan actually plays out into a successful part in the end. I think it will, but I do not know. So, never done it before. Thanks for watching, and let me share with you the work that we got to do. Just in case you were curious on who's supervising this circus, and that would be Cora Lou. We're not going to get away with anything with her on the job. She's right now laying in front of the heater on her blanket. She's taking a break. That is our shop supervisor. Little Cora Lou. So in part 1 of this repair, here's the chuck that's damaged. In part 1 of this repair, what we did is we remade the damaged screw. Turned out great. Super happy with the way that ended up. But there's 2 parts to this repair, and what the heck? Where's the damaged one? Anyway, if I would have, set this shot up better, I would have the damaged part. Let me go find it, because I've obviously misplaced it, and then I'll show it to you. Here it is. It is the jaw that was damaged along with the screw. You can see all the threads are, hopefully you can see, all the threads are stripped off, all but a couple on the back of this jaw. And, without these 2 pieces, this is a 3-jaw chuck. And we don't want that. We want a 4-jaw chuck. So I need to repair the damaged threads there. I think I've got a plan to do it. Let me get set up, and then I will give you the rundown on how I'm going to repair the non-existent threads that have been stripped off this chuck jaw. So I've got the chuck jaw in the vise here. Now, because this is an independent 4-jaw chuck, the placement, the timing of this thread, it does not matter because you work each jaw individually. It does not matter where we put our threads like it would matter on a 3-jaw chuck. This repair would not necessarily work the way that I'm going to do it on a 3-jaw. But anyway, what I plan to do is grind away whatever threads are left here because they're not good. This one's halfway broken too, and these other 2 look like they're cracked at the root, so I'm not going to try to save those and get the original thread timing. I don't care about that. I'm going to come in with a grinding wheel, remove these existing threads, clean this up a bit, and then weld in with some brazing alloy, weld this back up, and then attempt to hold this in the 4-jaw chuck in the big lathe and recut that thread. That's going to be a kind of a work hole and an alignment. You'll see. I think it's going to be a pain, but we will hopefully pull it off. So let's get started by grinding this up and getting our brazing alloy laid in here. So I'm getting set up to braze this void up so we can recut threads back in. And let me give you just I think the details matter. The reason I'm going to use a brazing alloy and not just take some steel filler and fill this in with a TIG torch is because I have to use such a small boring bar in order to cut these threads on the lathe that I just don't. I want something that cuts a little easier. I know that what I'm doing will probably also negatively affect the heat treat of this jaw, and that this brazing alloy probably won't be as durable. Well, it won't be as durable as the original jaw's threads. But it's just a compromise. A jaw that's not quite as good as the rest that works is still better than no jaw that works at all. So that's my method, my idea behind the way that I'm going to repair this. So here's going to be the setup. It's a Smith torch. It's a WH200A is the model. So much nicer. It's like a Cadillac compared to the Victor. It's amazing how much difference just, you know, a torch body can make. Just the control of the valves and stuff, how it feels. And I'm going to use a SW205 head or tip. That's the idea. That's what we're going to start off with. See how that does. And I'm going to be using just a standard, you know, brazing rod with separate flux. So I'll sprinkle a little on the part just to get a good coverage. You know, heat it a little bit, a little on the part, then I'll be dipping my rod. Some people use rods that are coated from the beginning. This one was coated, and in fact I scratched all the coating off just because I like applying my own flux. Better to have too much than not enough. That's my opinion. And my way too dirty, dedicated, you know, brazing shades. So I've got a neutral flame. I don't know if this is going to be hot enough, but maybe it will be. I may have to crank it up a little bit. I love brazing. There's something about it that's almost soothing. I think that's it. So there we go, just built up basically right across. I'm just going to let this cool off. I'll dial it in on the grinding device, put it in the surface grinder, grind this flat down to the top of the ears, and then we'll get set up, I think, in the lathe after that. We'll see. We got to do some layout and stuff as well. Oh no. I'm going to have to take this out. It's got a high spot on it or something that's making it pivot in these jaws. I should have stoned the sides of these before I stuck it in this vise. These precision ground flat stones, they are amazing. I've said this before, but they changed the way I thought about machine work and precision tools and reconditioning machines and all that stuff. It'll show you exactly where your burrs and stuff are. And I don't know if you can see how shiny that little spot is on there, right there. Maybe you'll get a glint of it. Anyway, that's what my jaw's pivoting on in that vise, and I can't, you know, get a good clamp on it. So I think I've got it about as good as it's gonna get, within about 2 or 3 tenths. That's more than good enough. There's thread clearance on this thing. So there we go. It is parallel. All right, so over to the Brown & Sharp Micromaster. I'm just letting the spindle run, let it get warmed up a bit. Come in and address this wheel real quick. Now I'm starting to see just a few little sparks, and I know that I'm down to the flat surface, to the bottom of the jaw. So basically, you know, I'm going to to dust off just maybe a thou off of that. I'll call that good enough. Yep, that's good enough. Seeing a few sparks. I think I got it brazed up good enough. Looks pretty good. So I've been messing around a little bit, and I just can't hold this on the forejaw, you know, and get any type of grip on it or any access, good access with the boring bar and stuff. So I come up with this angle block here, and I've ground a little block back here, just as a, you know, to give me a nice flat place to clamp this thing down. And I'm using the slots on the side of each side to clamp this thing down. I just, you know, quickly kind of come up with this. I think that this will work. This will just give me a way to hold it. At least that's what I think it will do. And allow me to really mess with the jaws on the chuck and get it, you know, clamped down really good and adjusted well. That's the idea. So I'll just take this and tighten it down. And I can take it over to the forejaw and maybe clamp on this and start getting it set up. It's little fixtures like this that make these one-off jobs take forever and makes a job, if you're having somebody, if you're paying somebody to do it, it just makes it expensive. There's no one-off work is expensive because of things like this. Fixturing and machine setup for one piece versus, you know, multiples. So I'll clamp that down really good once I get it in the lathe. So I'm set up over here in the forejaw. Let me show you what I've done to get as close to dialed in as I think I can actually be. Now, put my fixture in the forejaw. I've got the little copper pieces here so I don't damage. This is a really nice little angle bracket. What I've done is I've taken an undamaged jaw and I've stuck it in the fixture and just dialed it in straight. And then I took a good undamaged screw and I glued it into the threads. That way you can see it gives me the end of this thread is obviously, the end of this screw is obviously in line with the axis of rotation of the lathe. I just used it to dial off of with a indicator here. And I just come in and you know, used it to adjust my forejaw. Now this is a tenths indicator, so you know, I'm well within a half thou. We got a bump there, but I'm well within a half thou. A few tenths off, which, you know, it's good enough for what I'm doing here. So now, in order to take this out, because I got to take it out and put the one that I need to cut back in its place, and I need to make sure that it goes back in the same place. So I've got some stops here, just little pieces of flat ground stock, and I'm using that with these clamps to push up against the side. That way I get this one stuck back in there as close to the position that I have this one as possible. This clamp, you know, registers off this side, this one registers off this side, and hopefully when I take this one out and stick this one in, you get the idea. It's in the same spot. That's how I've dialed it in, just in case, you know, people were wondering. I didn't show all of that setup because it took like 30 minutes for me to get everything in here and get to this point. But you get the idea. You've seen what I've done, or I explained what I did, and I'm hoping that's going to work. I think it will. Uh-oh. My thing fell. Where did it go? Down in the chip tray. There it is. I am sure hoping that this is going to be close enough. I think that it will be. You know, it's about as good as I know how to do. So I'm putting the jaw that I need to cut in here, and it looks like I've got it, or had it good front to back. It just dipped. If I run my dial indicator along this, you know, from front to back, I'm getting a 2/1000th of an inch drop as I travel along this jaw. So I've got right here a 2/1000 shim, and I'm going to stick that in here and hopefully prop up the back of that jaw. That way when this is tightened down, I should get a good reading front to back. That's what I'm hoping. We'll see. This could be absolutely a waste of time, but that's what I'm doing anyway. Close as possible is what I wanted. Okay, less than a thou, about 6/10 from front to back. I'll take that. Now I want to measure it on the side. Make sure that this jaw is pointing, you know, straight. And I'm hoping that my references here, you know, got it as close as it could be. Oh yeah, there we go. That's, I mean, just some noise on that indicator. So yeah, we're good. I'm gonna crank this thing down. I'll show you the tool that we're going to use, the cutter, and then I'll get started cutting this thing. So in the lathe, the first cuts that I'm going to have to make is that radius in the center of that jaw, or in the center of that thread. Hopefully you see that. You know, that just won't appear magically if I cut this thread. That is a 5/16 radius at the, I guess, the minor diameter of the thread. So I got to cut that, and then I can come in and start cutting the thread. If you look, this is the bar that I'm going to use. It's a small bar because it has to be. It's like I'm cutting inside of a not 5/8 inch bore. So it has to be a small bar, and that's just a little bit of carbide that end there that I've ground to match the thread there. Hopefully you can see that. It's going to be kind of hard to show, but you get the idea. This is my thread cutting tool and boring bar. But the first thing is that radius. So let's go do that, and then we'll cut the thread. I sure hope this is going to work. I'm starting off with just a carbide boring bar. Yeah, man, it took me long enough to say that. A carbide boring bar, as skinny as it can be, and still reach back to where it needs to go. That's the idea. So I need to put a 5/16 radius in here to the depth of like 62 thousandths from peak to valley, I think. 70. Glad I checked that. Yep, 70 thousandths. So measuring the depth of that radius is kind of tough. Let me show you how I'm doing it. I'm just taking a round pin, setting it inside of there, And I'm hoping that these jaws are ground the same. I believe that they are. They seem to be. I mean, as far as their measurements, 1328. This should be really close to that. Yeah, 1328. So it's the same. And I'm setting the pin down inside of that radius, measuring across. And that's 1758, 1.758 inches. And I'm going to measure this one, see what it says. That was 1.758. That's 1.774. So I'm about 20 thousandths off. Right around. I'll do the numbers and put it in there. But you get the idea. That's how I'm measuring to see how far down I need to go. So this thread root, I guess you'd call it, the minor diameter, it's finished. Looks good. Super happy with the way that has came out so far. Now I've got our thread cutting bar in here. I've already got it set up to the right height. And now all I have to do is cut down until I start cutting into the actual metal, just slightly, into the metal of the jaw here, because it's stripped out at the very, I guess you'd call it the base of the thread there. So I'm just going to go really slow. This is a left-handed thread, so 8 threads per inch, from inside to out. And I sure hope this works. A little bit of blue there. Let's get started. There's just enough room for this bar to operate. So I know you can't see it all that well right this second, but I got to come in and just touch off. Okay, that's 0. Again. I'm going to feed 10 thousandths. See why we can't just go with it. First cut. So I'm getting really close to done, and the way that I'm measuring it is basically the same way that I measured the other part, or the first part of the cut that I made here, just that radius there, and I'm just using the thread, or the screw, a good jaw and a good screw, putting them together, and measuring, measuring across them both. And I can do the same to this one. Get my measurement. Looks like I'm about 11 thousandths off. I need to take about 11 thousandths deeper cut. The thing about cutting a thread like this, or cutting any thread, is that you just want to try not to get distracted, because it's so easy to lose, your rhythm, and then, all it takes is one time and you're donezo. Just feeding back to my end stop here. Go back in and do a spring cut. And measure again. So I should be done. My measurements were super close before. Please be good. Once I take it out of this fixture, yeah, my measurements say I'm done. But once I take it out of this fixture, there's really no going back in. But I do believe that it is finished. It looks really good. I sure hope I'm right. Because that, my friend, is it. I need my other Allen wrenches. Is that the right size? Yes. Here goes nothing. It looks really good. Looks really good. That don't mean nothing unless it works really good. I'm still got to clean up these thread ends here, but it looks really good. So, moment of truth. Let's, what is this? This is jaw number 1. Let's see if it works. I don't see why it wouldn't. It looks really good. I'm happy with the way that it turned out. I know the screw's fine because I checked it against the other jaws. Is it gonna fit? Oh, boom, it is. I need to make a good handle that fits it. So this is the first chuck jaw I've ever repaired. I've seen people do it on the YouTube before, but I have never done that. Holding one of these is a pain. I'm glad I decided to fix this one instead of making an entire new jaw. I don't know that it affected the hardness of the jaw any, heating it like I did. I'm going to check it here in just a second. But this thread should hold up as long as you don't gorilla crank it. These brass, bronze, brazing alloy threads, they'll hold up really good. This stuff is tough. So I'm super happy. This went from a garbage throwaway chuck basically to now a operating 4-jaw. Let's check it real quick, see if I did you know, make this jaw soft by getting it as hot as I did. We'll compare it anyway to one of the others. All right, so this is one that I did not try to repair. Just gonna see what its hardness is. Well, let me start over. 0 here. Huh? And let it rest for just a second. Settle if it's gonna. You can still see the needle moving just ever so slowly. You supposedly should wait till that stops. So 44 Rockwell C is what a non-brazed on jaw is. 44 Rockwell C. The one that we put our threads in. I believe we did a little bit. Yep, about 24. So yeah, we did take some of the hardness out of this jaw, but you know, it is a 4-jaw chuck, so it'll still work just fine. That's still relatively hard. So I quickly remachined a chuck handle here to fit this one properly. A little closer look at the fit there. It turned out really good. If you hadn't watched part 1 of this video where we make the thread, you know, watch it too. It turned out really good. Both pieces, super happy. And the fit is excellent. So, turned what was an old junk, I believe that's 5-inch Hardness 4-jaw chuck. It's Hardness specific because of the taper. Kind of hard to find and expensive if you do. Turned a junk chuck into a usable one. So there we go. Really stoked about that. Little Cora Lou, she's so pretty and so fancy. So that is going to be it on our Hardness 4-jaw chuck repair. I could not be happier with the way that it turned out. Quite a bit of time invested in that repair. I'm guessing at least a full day, maybe, you know, a day and a half. I did this over a few days, just here and there, filming and stuff, to do this repair. By the time I did the screw and the jaw, and filmed, did all the fixturing, tool grinding and stuff, you know, quite a bit, actually, to get something like that repaired. But, you know, the satisfaction of saving something like this, for me, it was well worth it. Plus, I enjoyed sharing that with you guys, so you can see a way, maybe not exactly the way, but a way to get something like that done. So that is it. Thank you for watching. I appreciate all the kind words in my last video. They're very nice of a lot of you guys. So that is it. Thank you for watching. Viewers, patrons, subscribers, anyone who's helped me out whatsoever, it is much appreciated. So that's going to be it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. You ready to go in, Cora? It's dark and cold outside. Wintertime's here.